All right, so we're diving into this whole BRICS digital currency thing today. We've got Arun, we've got Ilya's article, BRICS digital currency, cryptocurrency on a public blockchain. And it really gets into like the specifics and how it could actually work.
Yeah, and what's interesting is he's actually building on some existing research too. We've also got this paper, Digital Money Options for the BRICS, and it lays out sort of the high level goals. But Ilya's take on like how to achieve those goals, I think it's pretty revolutionary.
So before we get into Ilya's ideas, let's just like take a step back. What is the BRICS dream in the first place? Like why are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa even considering a shared currency?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about challenging the dominance of the U.S. dollar,
Mm.
boosting their own economies, and just having more control over their financial destinies. I mean, they want to streamline trade, reduce reliance on the dollar,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately gain more clout on the global stage.
Right, so it's like forming this powerful economic bloc
Hmm.
with a currency that like reflects their combined strength. But here's where things get interesting. That research paper we mentioned, it's actually pretty skeptical about cryptocurrency as a viable option. They think it's like too volatile and unpredictable.
Exactly. They argue that, for a shared currency to work, you need like stability and control,
Mm.
which is why they lean towards a more like traditional centralized approach. But Ilya kind of flips the script entirely. He says not only can a BRICS currency work as a cryptocurrency, it's the ideal way to do it.
So he's saying, forget central banks, let's go full on crypto.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a pretty bold move.
It is, and he lays out his argument very systematically. He starts by addressing that whole volatility issue head on. He points to algorithmic stablecoins as proof that you can have a cryptocurrency with a stable value.
Okay, so refresh my memory on stablecoins. They're pegged to something like the US dollar, right?
Right.
But how do they maintain stability without a central bank like pulling the strings?
Well, that's the beauty of it. Stablecoins use what are called smart contracts, which are basically like self-executing agreements written in code. And these contracts automatically adjust the supply of the cryptocurrency based on market demand. So it ensures the price stays stable.
So it's like a self-correcting mechanism built
Yeah.
right into the system. So Ilya is saying BRICS could just skip the whole central bank drama altogether.
Exactly. He proposes using a public blockchain, which is like a transparent and tamper-proof ledger, accessible to everyone, and the rules governing the currency are coded right into the blockchain. So there's no need for a central authority to control things.
Okay, I'm starting to see where he's going with this, but how does he account for the unique circumstances of the BRICS nations?
Right. Well, remember that formula from the research paper, the one that calculates the BRICS currency supply
Mm-hmm.
based on like trade volume investments and even gold reserves?
That sounded pretty complex.
Well, Ilya suggests encoding that very formula into a smart contract. This way, the supply of the BRICS cryptocurrency would automatically adjust based on the combined economic performance of the member nations. Booming economy, more currency, downturn, less currency. It's all automated and designed to maintain stability.
So no more human error or political maneuvering. The code just takes care of everything. But what about the elephant in the room? Security. I mean, crypto has had its fair share of hacks and scandals. How does Ilya address that?
Yeah, well, he tackles that head on. He acknowledges the importance of robust security measures and argues that blockchain technology, when implemented correctly, is actually more secure than traditional systems.
Because it's decentralized, right? No
Yeah.
single point of failure.
Exactly. Plus, he emphasizes the need for advanced cryptography to protect the system from attacks. He even brings up something called zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs for short. Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, break down these ZKPs for me.
Okay, so imagine being able to prove something is true without revealing the underlying information. Think of it like proving you're a BRICS citizen to get special trade discounts. But without showing your passport to every website, ZKPs allow for verification without sacrificing privacy.
So it's like a digital shield that protects sensitive information.
Okay.
I'm intrigued. But how do ZKPs fit into a BRICS cryptocurrency?
Well, Ilya sees them as essential for compliance, privacy, and efficiency. Imagine businesses proving they're following BRICS regulations without revealing all their financial details. Or think about targeted financial incentives based on location.
Wait, a location? How does that work?
He brings up this concept called ZK locus. It lets you prove your location, say to get access to region-specific benefits without giving up your exact coordinates.
So if I'm in Brazil, I could get a discount on coffee just by being there, all without broadcasting my GPS location to the world.
You got it. It's all about creating a more efficient and personalized system. And Ilya sees ZKPs and ZK locus as key ingredients in that recipe.
Okay, Mind officially blown. This is some next level stuff. But I feel like we're just scratching the surface of Ilya's vision.
Oh, we are just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore how Ilya addresses some of the biggest hurdles facing a BRICS cryptocurrency. And trust me, it gets even more fascinating. Welcome back. So we left off talking about Ilya's vision of a BRICS cryptocurrency secured by these like mind-bending ZKPs.
Yeah, that ZK locus thing, it's really got me thinking. But, launching a whole new financial system like this, there got to be some serious hurdles, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely there are. And Ilya doesn't shy away from those. He dedicates like a good chunk of his article to addressing those very challenges.
Yeah, so what does he see as like the biggest obstacle?
Well, one of the biggest is just like getting people on board. A lot of folks are just comfortable with traditional financial systems. The idea of a decentralized crypto-based system can seem kind of intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm still wrapping my head around all of this.
Yeah.
So how does Ilya propose to bridge that gap?
Education and gradual implementation. It's not about like flipping a switch overnight. It's about helping people understand the benefits and the security measures and just how this new system could actually make their lives easier.
Okay, baby steps make sense. But even if people come around, what about the technology itself? Can we really rely on blockchain to be that secure and reliable?
Yeah, that's another big question that Ilya tackles head on. And he acknowledges that any system, especially one reliant on technology, is vulnerable to attacks. But he argues that blockchain, when implemented correctly, is inherently more secure than traditional systems.
Right, because it's decentralized. No single point of failure.
Exactly. And plus he goes into the nitty-gritty of like cryptography, the complex math that underpins blockchain security, and stresses the importance of constantly updating and refining these cryptographic tools just to stay ahead of potential threats.
So it's not just relying on the tech itself, but also like the constant evolution of that technology.
Absolutely. And he sees the BRICS nations as being in a unique position to kind of drive that innovation, to push the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain security.
Okay, so let's say we nail the tech.
Yeah.
And we get people comfortable with the idea. What about the global players? Are they just going to like sit back and let this BRICS currency take off?
That's where things get interesting from a geopolitical standpoint. And Ilya acknowledges there will be resistance. Any new system that challenges the established financial order is bound to face pushback.
Especially one with the potential to shake up the dominance of the US dollar.
Exactly. But he argues that the benefits of this system, the efficiency, the transparency, the potential for like financial inclusion are just too great to ignore.
So it's not just about the BRICS nations themselves. It's about creating like a more equitable and accessible global financial system.
That's a big part of his argument. He sees this as a catalyst for positive change, not just for the BRICS countries, but for the world as a whole.
All right, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But even if the BRICS pull this off, wouldn't they still have to play by some rules? What about global regulations?
That's a really good point. You can't just launch a whole new financial system without considering the regulatory landscape, and Ilya does get into that as well.
So what's his take? Does he think regulation is like a roadblock or an opportunity?
I think he sees it as both, really. He acknowledges that there will be hurdles to overcome. Governments around the world are still figuring out how to approach cryptocurrencies. But he's optimistic that, like, a collaborative approach, a dialogue between the BRICS nations and global regulatory bodies can lead to a clear and consistent framework.
So working within the system, but also pushing for change where needed.
Exactly. He stresses the importance of transparency and open communication. He wants the BRICS nations to be seen as like responsible innovators, not disruptors operating in the shadows.
So he's not advocating for some kind of rogue off-the-grid system. He wants this to be like a legitimate player. On the global financial stage?
Absolutely. And he sees it as a stepping stone towards a more decentralized and interoperable global financial system, a system where currencies flow seamlessly across borders, transactions settle instantly, and individuals have greater control over their own financial data.
Wow. Okay, that's a pretty bold vision for the future of finance.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic for a moment. This whole thing, it sounds incredibly complex.
Oh, it is. There's no doubt about that. But Ilya argues that the potential rewards outweigh the challenges, and he lays out a roadmap, like a step-by-step approach to implementing this system in a thoughtful and sustainable way.
So it's not about throwing everything out the window and starting from scratch. It's about building on existing infrastructure, adapting it, and gradually phasing in this new system.
Exactly. He sees it as a process of evolution, not revolution. And he believes that the BRICS nations, with their collective resources and technological prowess, are uniquely positioned to lead the way.
Okay, so we've tackled security regulations, even the potential geopolitical implications. But I gotta ask, what about the everyday person? How would a BRICS cryptocurrency actually impact their lives?
That's a great question, and it's one that Ilya addresses head on. In the next part of his article, he gets into like the real-world applications, the tangible benefits that this system could offer to individuals and businesses alike.
All right, well, I'm definitely ready for part 3 of this deep dive. This BRICS cryptocurrency. It's sounding less like a pipe dream and more like a potential game changer.
Yeah, it's a bold vision, and whether it becomes a reality remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, the conversation Ilya has started is one worth having. And in the next part, we'll explore just how this new financial order could reshape the world as we know it.
All right, so we've talked about the why, the how, but let's get down to like the real nitty-gritty. What does all of this mean for like the average person?
Right, like how does this actually affect people's lives? Well, Ilya doesn't just leave us with these like grand theories. He gets into the specifics of how this could play out in everyday life.
Okay, so paint me a picture. I'm a small business owner or someone who travels a lot. How does a BRICS currency actually touch my world?
Okay, so imagine sending money across borders is like as easy and cheap as sending an email.
Okay.
That's one of the big promises of a BRICS cryptocurrency. No more hefty fees, no more waiting days for transfers to clear. It'd be a game changer for remittances, especially for folks working abroad and sending money back home.
So faster, cheaper international transfers, that's a big win. But what about someone like me running a small business?
Well, think about all the red tape and paperwork involved in international trade. It can be a real headache, especially for smaller businesses. But a BRICS cryptocurrency operating on a shared blockchain platform could streamline that whole process.
Less bureaucracy, smoother transactions? Sounds good to me. But wouldn't businesses still have to deal with currency exchange rates?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Ilya argues that a BRICS currency could actually lead to more stable exchange rates between member nations. Remember that dynamic supply mechanism we talked about? It's
Right.
designed to like smooth out volatility and create a more predictable financial environment.
Okay, more stability, less risk.
Yeah.
I can see how that'd be attractive to businesses.
Yeah.
But what about just the average consumer? Besides like cheaper money transfers, what else is in it for me?
Well, remember those zero-knowledge proofs and ZK locus we talked about?
Yeah.
Ilya envisions a world where those technologies could unlock all sorts of personalized financial services and benefits.
Okay, like what?
Like imagine walking into a shop in Brazil, and because your digital wallet can verify you're a BRICS citizen, you automatically get a discount. Or think about accessing microloans tailored to your specific location and financial needs, all without revealing your private information.
So it's about creating a more efficient, inclusive, and even personalized financial system. It's almost like a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly, and that's what makes Ilya's vision so compelling. He's not just talking about a new currency, he's talking about a new financial paradigm, one that empowers individuals, strengthens economies, and fosters greater cooperation on a global scale.
I gotta admit, I came into this a little skeptical, but Ilya's argument, the way he lays out the potential benefits, it's really giving me a lot to think about.
That's what a good deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah.
Exploring new ideas, challenging assumptions, and ultimately expanding our understanding of the world.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What should our listeners be watching for as this BRICS currency conversation unfolds?
We'll keep an eye out for pilot programs and announcements from the BRICS nations. They've been talking about this for a while, but it seems like they're moving from theory into practice. And pay attention to how the global financial community reacts. This could be a turning point in the evolution of money.
Yeah, it's definitely a story worth following. So to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and who knows, maybe we'll all be transacting in BRICS bucks sooner than we think.